Thanks for joining me today. This is Danny and welcome back to my 1.10.2 series. Today we are going to be autocrafting nether stars. We are going to create a wither spawner and grinder and collect the output of that all automatically. And we're going to set up autocrafting so that we can tell our refined storage system that 4 blocks of soul sand and 3 wither skulls equals 1 nether star. However, I didn't leave myself enough room back here, so we're going to end up doing it underneath. And there happens to be a lush cave down here, so that'll kind of help us, so we won't have as much to dig. But here are the materials that we are going to need. They're all on the bottom. Let's stand out here so we don't have to listen to all the noise in there. They're all in the bottom row here. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. I probably did. And if I did, I'll let you know as we go. But we're going to need a bunch of obsidian. Now, you can use reinforced... what is it called? Reinforced obsidian, which claims to be witherproof. It's quite a bit more expensive than obsidian. You need 4 dark steel per and a bunch of iron bars, so it's crazy expensive. In my testing, both in 110.2 and also in 1.7.10, I find that obsidian is more than sufficient. But then, oh, actually there is more stuff we have to add to this. There's 2 more things. Then of course we need a mob grinder. We're going to use the Draconic Evolution mob grinder. That is actually the only mob grinder that I know of that is capable of killing the wither instantly, and therefore not allowing it to cause any... Aww. Don't look in there. Yes, I know. You thought I was your friend. Sorry. Anyway. Yes, it's the only spawner that I know of that's capable of destroying the wither instantly, but we do have to withstand the wither's initial explosion. And that's why we have obsidian. The mechanical user from extra utilities, we're going to need 7 of those in order to place the soul sand and wither skulls, and that's actually going to prove to be the most difficult part of this whole process. And we'll see why that is when we get to that part. You could also use Actually Additions. It's called a placer? Yeah, auto placer. The auto placer behaves almost exactly like the mechanical user. There's a few configuration options in the mechanical user that aren't in the auto placer. The auto placer basically allows you to either work on redstone pulse or work unless it has a redstone signal, which pretty much should give you everything you need. But I've decided to go with extra utilities for this particular build, just because. It really, like I said, it doesn't matter. You can, everything that I'm going to do today with the mechanical user, you can do the exact same thing with the auto placer. So if you want to swap it out when you do this, it'll work. It should work perfectly fine. I actually tested them both in a creative world, and they both worked great. We're going to need some item conduits, probably a few more than that. We're going to need some insulated redstone conduits. We're going to need some more item conduits. We're going to need 7 basic item filters, an item conduit speed downgrade. We are also going to need a couple more things, actually. We're going to need a Killer Joe in order to collect XP, if assuming we want to collect the XP, which of course we do, even though we have like loads and loads of freaking XP right now. We probably don't really need it, but hey, we're not going to let it just go to waste, right? So we're going to need a Killer Joe. We're also going to need a vacuum chest. So these are both Ender.io items. And then also from RF Tools, we're going to need a sensor. Let's just turn that light on for now so we don't have to listen to that. How are we doing with wither skeleton skulls? Let's see, we've got 15. Let's just turn that on for a little while. That sucks a lot of RF, but we can handle it. They're going to face me when I set them here. We do not want that connecting, because that will mess all kinds of stuff up. There we go. I'm sure you can guess what each of these blocks is going to do. We want the wither to be able to drop down at least 12 blocks in order to assure that nothing up here will break. Usually 11 blocks is enough, but I like to do 12 because I have seen it happen where the bottom block gets broken. So then what we're going to do is we're going to make like a chamber, and we do want these corner blocks will break as well, so we actually want a full square or a rectangle or whatever. And I'm going to make this about 2. I'm going to make this come out 2. And theoretically, you could do a 1x3 and that would probably be good enough, but this just makes it a little bit less cramped. Easier to work with. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's the shape we want, and we're going to do that 12 times all the way down. I'm particularly interested in keeping this stuff up here protected, but we shouldn't have any trouble there. But it might not be a bad idea to just put some extra obsidian here or whatever, I mean, just in case, but it's really not necessary. There we go. There's our little chamber, and I ended up using about 3 stacks of obsidian. And then we need to put, oops, oh boy, wow, it takes a long time even with our drill. And then about, let's see, so the wither is going to end up blowing up. Wait, let's get some light in here. Even though the wither is going to destroy any light we put in here, but that's okay. The wither is going to end up blowing up right here, facing in that direction. And if we go about 2 blocks back from here and set up our Killer Joe, which we're using just to collect XP. And our vacuum chest. And then we can put a little bit of obsidian down here. An ender tank. It is yellow, white, white, because that is where all my other Killer Joes are pumping into. So we just give the Killer Joe some nutrient distillation. It will not consume it because it's not killing anything, but it will use it, or because it has some nutrient distillation in there, it will be able to collect XP orbs. Except probably not with that on top of it. There. There we have it. And if you want to put obsidian behind this to protect whatever is around there, you can. In my case, it's not really necessarily necessary. But we'll do it anyway. Okay, and then we can close this off. And now whatever we throw in here should end up getting sucked in. Okay, good. Except I'm not done in there because I'm going to have to do some piping, but we'll get to that. Now, to kill this guy, we are going to need our grinder. We'll put that right here. And we're going to have to place that from the outside. So I'm just going to go over here, because it faces in the opposite direction that you place it. And the last time I tried turning it with the wrench, it didn't cooperate. And then we're going to have to pipe power into this. Make sure you don't forget, because I've done that before. I set up a wither spawner just like this one in 1.7.10, except I was using different things to place blocks. And I forgot to power the mob grinder. And this was right under my base. It was right under my main base, and I ended up letting the wither loose in my main base. Alright, I just ended up using an RF Tools power cell that with a link card in it. And then I don't have to run pipes. But I will have to run pipes back there, but we'll get to that in a second. So we're killing the wither, we're collecting the items, now we have to figure out how we're going to make the wither. And that is with these guys. So we're going to set up item conduits touching each one of these. And then we're going to disconnect them from this network because we want this to be on a completely separate network. For each one of these, we're going to do insert. We're going to throw in a basic item filter, and we're going to filter the appropriate items. So in this case, obviously, we want wither skeleton skulls to go into the top 3. And the remaining 4, of course, we want soul sand. So this is going to be our drop chest. This is where we're going to drop soul sand and wither skulls. And then we're going to, from here, we're going to extract them. Actually, let's do active with signal. We're going to put an item conduit downgrade, and we're going to enable round robin. That way it's going to grab one piece at a time because of the downgrade, and it's going to circulate them between all the things. So if we get 4 pieces of soul sand, obviously we don't want 4 pieces of soul sand to get dropped in here. We want them to be circulated through all the 4. So right now, if we were to drop 4 pieces of soul sand in there, and 3 wither skulls, let's just do 2 just in case something goes wrong. It should extract them, and oh yeah, we said active on signal, so I'm just going to say active always for now. So it should end up putting 1 soul sand. Oh shoot, okay, I accidentally did extract for these. 4 soul sand, 2 wither skeleton skulls, and they get pulled out one at a time. We should see that each one of these has 1 piece of soul sand. 1 wither skull in 2 of these. Okay. Obviously, if we would have put a 3rd one, it would have put it in whichever one didn't have one. We want these 4. Let's just pull this stuff out so that it doesn't start doing it yet. We want these guys to right-click, place block. These bottom 4. Top 3, we want right-click, use item on block. With this one, I'm going to show you a little problem that we can run into. And one of the reasons we're going to need our sensor. So if I were to tell this guy right now, use item on block, it places it down there. It's kind of annoying, and the actual additions placer does the exact same thing, but it will actually place it on that block. Or at least that's what it seems to be doing. And I've tried many different configurations of putting these up on top and putting them over here, and it always does the same thing. So we're going to have to tell this guy not to place the skulls until the soul sand has been placed. We're going to place our sensor down here in this block, which is basically right next to these 3. And we're going to click on this side of the block so that it faces in that direction. And we can actually get rid of that block down there, but I'm just going to leave it for now. But we're going to tell this guy to emit a redstone signal when it detects a block in area 3, which is 3 blocks in front of the sensor. This is actually the front, even though it kind of seems like it should be the back, but that's the front of the sensor. So it'll emit a redstone signal if there's a soul sand 3 blocks in front of the sensor. All blocks in the area must match the sensor. So if we were to put a redstone conduit right here, and maybe like that, so that we can watch it from here, we'll be able to see, if we watch that conduit, that if we place a soul sand there, nothing happens. Place one there, nothing happens. Place one there, we've got a redstone signal. So you can see it's kind of glowing. So that's how that's going to work. And now if we put a skull in here, we will see that it properly places it on top, and it ends up facing that way. Okay, then we're going to run our redstone conduit up here. And you can see by default it doesn't connect to those. Somehow it doesn't recognize those as something that would accept redstone. I don't know what the deal is, but for whatever reason doesn't connect. But that's easily fixable, of course. Let's go back here, select the redstone tab, and say in out. Oh, actually, we do want a strong signal at this from the source. Yeah, and then we'll just tell this guy strong signal, just in case it loses some of the signal there. So we should be good to go right now. If we set 4 soul sand in that chest and 3 wither skulls, we should end up with a wither boss that's going to drop down, blow up in that direction, be immediately grinded, and then all the wares will be collected down there. So let's give this a test, just to make sure we did everything right. Let's hope. Let's hope that we did. So boom, boom. And you can see it didn't start placing the skulls. Oh, it's facing that way. It's proving me wrong. Okay, that's fine. It's fine too. Okay, hooray! So let's stay up here for a second just to make sure. So you can see that as soon as the wither was spawned, it's not grabbing the XP orbs. Oh, crap. Why is it not grabbing XP orbs? Okay, but you can see our mob grinder is still here, our vacuum chest is still here, and it has our rare shader grab bag. Nice. Add another star, hooray! And down here we have Killer Joe, who is not picking up the XP, and I'm not really sure why. Oh, because he's faced the wrong way. Whoops. Okay, that's fine. And there was no destruction, as far as I can tell. I mean, even these blocks are still here. Okay, cool. And this guy is still here. We definitely want to make sure that that is the case, because if that thing blows up, eventually this thing will stop working. And if we're back at our base and we're crafting, oh, I want some nether stars, and then all of a sudden we like ask for 4 nether stars and we only get 3. And they're like, gee, I wonder what happened. And we look out our window and there's a wither boss destroying our whole city. So when we place Killer Joe, he is going to be facing away from us. So that should work better. Simply enough, I just have an item conduit pulling from here. Extract, always active, from our vacuum chest. And this is actually going into our little mob drops drawer up here, which has an external storage. So we should see, there it is, there's another star, hooray! And our rare shader grab bag, which we're going to play with that in a future episode, actually. But if we look in our refined storage, we'll also see that we can see the nether star in there as well, because of our external storage. We can see all the stuff in there. There's one problem with this setup. If we want to do a bunch of wither bosses at a time, they're going to break each other. So like, it's going to place one, and if it starts placing the other one before the first one has cleared this space, the one that's dropping is going to end up breaking the soul sand as it's dropping down. And also, if we spawn too many in a row, like if we spawn them one after another, like boom, 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 what's going to happen is the ones that haven't like spawned yet, the ones that are floating down, when the one below it blows up, it's going to blow itself, it's going to throw the next one up in the air. And then if that one blows up while it's up here, it might blow the next one up in the air. And then all of a sudden you've got wither bosses blowing up here, if that makes sense. So there has to be about a 3-second delay between spawnings, so that, or between placements, so that for one, they don't break the soul sand on their way down, and for two, they don't blow each other out of this space, because that would be bad. This is the timer block from RF Tools. Basically, it outputs a pulse every 60 seconds, and it stops the pulse or restarts if it receives a pulse. So over here we've got this redstone that's going out when all three of these blocks are here, which triggers the placement of those blocks. That'll cause this timer to start over. I've got it set to 60 ticks. I'm actually going to set it to 70, just to be safe, which is going to be 3.5 seconds, because there's 20 seconds in, there's 20 ticks per second. And then, oh boy, we're going to need more insulated redstone conduit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to output a redstone signal to these 4 from that timer. So now we're going to put item conduit or redstone conduits to all these guys coming from our timer. But we're going to do it on a different color. So let's just do color green, because those are in color red, so that we have 2 different redstone channels. Because we don't want these guys placing, well, actually that almost doesn't matter, but whatever. We need a different channel so that, okay, redstone in, out, color green. I'm going to do this on all 4. You should be able to look at those and see that they're all green. They all have like green little ribbons, and these all have little red ribbons. And that has a green, and those are red. Okay. So that should prevent withers from spawning on top of each other. So let's test that theory. Once again, we're going to take a little risk here, because how else, you know, we have to. There's no way to test it without taking a little bit of risk. This time we're going to get 4 soul sand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean 8 soul sand. And 6 wither skulls. Oh, there's one more thing that's important here. We need to tell this guy we're only going to place when the redstone is on. And the same up here. Oh, I'm surprised that we didn't run into any problems with this. Okay, so now I'm going to stand over here. So the only problem with this is we could have up to a 3-second delay if every time we do this. There we go. Oh, it didn't work. So I ended up setting it to 4 seconds. That seemed to be about the right amount of time. Here's the fun part. 4 soul sand, 3 wither skulls equals 1 nether star. Ta-da! Got a crafter. Right, we've got a crafter pointing toward this chest, which was a little difficult to do because they always face you when you place them. And we're only ever going to have one pattern in here. 4 soul sand, 3 wither skeleton skull equals 1 nether star. So can we... we're just out of range. So if we go and look up nether stars, shift control click, and let's say we want 2. So it should have put, yeah, it's putting the stuff in there. Okay. Oh, come on. There we go. Perfect. Hooray! So that's still going to throw the one guy up, but he'll have a few seconds to drop back down again. Nice. Beautiful. And now it's collecting our XP orbs, slowly but surely. And our stuff all got sent back up. Well, I've been a little bit busy since the Hey, where did it go? Oh, there it is. I've been a little bit busy since the last cut. I actually moved and rebuilt this entire building over here, and I made a few minor changes. I brought, instead of having that big stupid mess below the building, I brought it up here. So we now have our wither spawner up here so that we can watch it, so that the customers of our little storefront can watch through the window as the withers are being spawned. And I brought this over pretty much identical to the way it was. And all this stuff. And of course I had to reroute some of the stuff down here. And I opened this up and made a whole basement. And yeah. And I actually brought a chunk loader over here. Or I moved the one that I had. And I moved the levers that were over here. All into button modules from RF Tools using the RF Tools screen. So we may get into these screens in a future episode into a little bit more depth, but basically we can now control everything from here. The lights, the wither skeleton, and then I also have a bat spawner in there now too, so that I can get these guys, these bat wings. Mostly the reliquary bat wings, is that what, wait. Yeah, the reliquary bat wings, so that I can make these interdiction torches because I really like them. So now we should have enough confidence in this system. I had to rebuild it all over again, but it's basically exactly the same, except it's just much cleaner. And I've got conduit facades back there now, covering up all those conduits so that it doesn't have to be a big ugly mess. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, that's weird. That's the morphing tool. It's yeah, makes it a little weird when you're pointing at conduit facades somehow. But yeah, that's the mess. It's exactly the same as it was before. I redid all the color, or all the redstone conduit colors and all that too. So let's check this out. I've already got 28 nether stars from all the testing I've done. We've got 8 wither skeleton skulls right now, so we could actually, if we wanted to, we could autocraft, except I'm out of range now. I have to go out to the road. We should now have enough confidence that we should be able to autocraft our withers wherever we are, whether we're up at our base or somewhere else, because we don't really have to be here to babysit it. Although I want to. Hey, why is it not working now? Oh, there we go. So it should do one about every 4 seconds. Oh, that was less than 4 seconds. That's, oh boy, because that first one had a bit of a delay. I don't know what happened there. But hopefully it'll have enough time to sink back down. Okay, and nothing's broken. Everything is still working fine. And the XP and the items are being picked up, so we know that stuff isn't broken, and we should now have 30 nether stars. Hooray! So this is working beautifully. I did have to push out this back wall a little bit. I still have to work on some of the details because it looks, oh, and I've got a hole. It looks a little silly, but I'm not going to worry too much about that now. But I'm so much happier with this building being over here rather than in the middle of town. I just didn't like it there. I think the next episode's going to be a build episode. I'm going to set up a little town, or set up a little string of shops along this road. And somewhere in here, I'm going to have like a little town square kind of thing. And just to kind of fill in and somewhat complete our little town. If you do have any questions or comments about this build or anything else or whatever, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. This is a small channel. I do read all my comments. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. And also just a little quick announcement. I am working on kind of getting a little server pack together. It's going to be this same pack, but I'm kind of working on kind of doing some tweaks to this pack, adding some server utilities and such, so that we can get a subscriber server started. And I've kind of been hinting around about this in the comments for a long time and saying, oh, someday we're going to have a subscriber server. And that day should be coming fairly soon. I decided I'm going to go with my own pack, just so that if I want to add server utilities or things that are going to make our server nicer or easier to maintain and all that stuff, that we don't have to rely on another pack, and then I have to like modify it and be like, okay, yes, you can use the FTB unstable 1.10.2 pack, except you have to add this mod, and you have to add this mod, and you have to change this config setting, and blah blah blah. No, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to have our own mod pack, and I'll have it available for you on Curse. And it will be a whitelist server, and of course there will be an official announcement. I'll make an official announcement, you know, telling you how to join, how to apply and all that for the whitelist and blah blah blah. And you know, we'll probably start out small, like maybe 10 people or so. Because just so that I can kind of get a feel for the maintenance requirements and like how many people can we fit on the server. And I am also going to be recording on that server, so it's not just going to be a subscriber server where we can kind of play around together and do stuff together, but I'm also going to be doing some videos on that server as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of work too for me, and hopefully maybe some of you guys will be interested in kind of helping out too. So yeah, I do hope you guys join me there, or that many of you guys can join me there, and that we have a lot of fun. And you should be hearing more about that soon, so I'll see you next time.